Good morning. Welcome to First Unitarian Church of Toledo. We're the Toledo Unitarians. And this is another in our COVID-needed virtual services via our YouTube channel. Welcome to you. We have an announcement. Next week is the second of our monthly summer outdoor services behind our building. It will be summer solstice, which we'll emphasize, and next Sunday is also Father's Day. Also, this is the first of a few times in this service where I will express gratitude to Soroya King for her gift to our congregation of having served as our interim religious educator. Her duties to the denomination in which she is a bishop and apostle have intensified, so Soroya can't continue in the RE position. This is her final Sunday to give us a story. Thank you, Bishop. And now for our opening words as we begin our service proper. These are by Dr. Anthony Fauci. You can't rush the science, but when the science points you in the right direction, then you can start rushing. And as we light our chalice, these are words of Dr. Anthony Fauci from December 18th, 2020. After record numbers of cases, hospitalizations, and deaths, the sweetness is the light at the end of the tunnel, which I can tell you, as we get into January, February, March, and April, that light is going to get brighter and brighter, and the bitterness is going to be replaced by the sweetness. And now, please join me for our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And now we'll have our congregational singing. This is number 19 in our gray hymnal, The Sun That Shines, and this week our accompanist, Bonnie Rowe, will also be our cantor and sing along with her playing.
All right, everybody, this is 3 verses. Okay. For all these things belong to me, the sun that shines across the sea, the wind that whispers in the tree, the lark that carols in the sky, the fleecy clouds a sailing by. Oh, I'm as rich can be, for all these things belong to me. The raindrops which refresh the earth, the rising mantle of rebirth, the summer days when all things grow, the autumn mist and winter snow. Oh, I'm as rich can be, for all these things belong to me. The task well done, the fun of play, the wise who guide me on my way, the balm of sleep when each day ends, the joy of family and friends. Oh, I'm as rich can be, for all these things belong to me.
Gather around the television set or the computer screen, children and grown-ups, and let's hear our interim religious educator, Bishop Soroya King, tell us a story, The Lemonade Adventure by Unitarian Universalist Reverend Naomi King. This is the final story R.E. Roya will be giving in our Sunday services, so let's appreciate her leading us one more time.
Hello and happy Sunday to you. It's been a great honor to have served as your interim religious educator at First Unitarian Church of Toledo. The last story that I'm reading for you in this season is taken from Naomi King, who is the daughter of Stephen and Tabitha King and a UU minister. It's titled Lemonade Adventure, and it's been adapted today for our use. Once there was, and once there was not, a town on the edge of the swamp in sultry summer weather of far South Florida, between the alligators and the ocean. In this town there were two amazing friends, Sam and Joseph. They were a lot alike. They liked the same foods, they liked the same books, they liked the same movies and music and games. They even liked the same class in school. Yes, they liked math, if you can believe such a thing. But 2 weeks into summer vacation, Sam and Joseph were bored. Bored, 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 bored. Bored for supper, bored for lunch, bored for breakfast, and bored in between. Bored with books and bored with movies and bored with television. Bored with games and bored with music and bored with the internet and definitely, almost definitely, bored with each other. I'm bored, Sam said. I'm bored too, Joseph said. Why am I here with you? Sam asked. You're so boring. Why am I here with you? Joseph asked. You're so boring. But they were too bored to move away from each other. Each boy sighed. Sam grabbed another bag of chips, and Joseph grabbed another fizzy drink, and they lay down on the floor, unable to open those chips or drink, because the boredom prevented their fingers from moving. By the time these words had even made it to Joseph and Sam's ears, Joseph's father's car was pulling up out of the driveway, and Grandpa Jeff, or maybe it was Grandpa Jerry, was sitting on his suitcase with his cane, blinking a little and cleaning his spectacles with an embroidered kerchief. Grandpa Jay introduced himself, and Sam introduced Joseph, and Joseph introduced Sam, and then there they stood there, looking at each other. So it's summertime, boys. What are you doing for fun? Sam and Joseph just looked at one another. Fun. We had fun, but it's gone now. Now we're just bored. Boards? Asked Grandpa Jay. Yes, you should probably get some boards. And also some hammers, some nails, some paint. Come on, boys. Let's go find what we need. A brief while later, they were hammering boards together and painting. The boys asked Grandpa Jay what they should paint. He shrugged his shoulders and said, I don't know what you should paint. You have colors and patterns and ideas of your own. Show them to the world. They did, and as they did, Joseph and Sam realized they were not bored. They were excited. Grandpa Jay told of fixing engines and of splitting wood, of wandering lost in the desert, and of meeting his true love. Joseph and Sam hoped that their lives would be just as exciting as Grandpa Jay's was. At the end of the day, they thanked Grandpa Jay for all these grand adventure gifts. But he said to them, boys, every person has gifts and ideas and stories. Every person has adventures. Some know how to tell them, and some have a special gift of coaxing them out of someone else. But an adventure is always within your powers. Do? What do you think we should do? The boys dreamed and they thought and they talked, and then they set up a lemonade stand. One by one, kids came by that stand to talk and tell jokes and buy lemonade. Then the utility crew working on the electrical lines stopped at lunch and bought lemonade and talked about their boys and when they had lemonade stands. And so it went. Grandpa Jay put down their hands and looked at them steadily. Boys, boredom is a choice. You have gifts and ideas. So did all those people you met. You each have stories. So did all those people you met. The beginnings of an adventure is always within your power. When I came here, I had forgotten that, and you reminded me. Thank you and goodbye. We may have plenty of goodbye at times to say, but when we have gratitude, we remember each person's life touches ours and continue to live with that gift. I read for you today The Lemonade Stand by Naomi King. Again, it's been a joy and a pleasure to have served you in this position. May you be richly blessed in all that you do, and don't ever be bored. Take care and blessings.
Now, please join me for a time of meditation, contemplation, and prayer. As we know from this year plus of COVID-19 and in our own lives, sometimes the waiting is the hard part. We need health, strength, patience. We think of family, friends, and yes, ourselves. We do pray for the city, the state, the nation, the world, this congregation, for weather, climate, the earth, for war, for peace, for politics, for conflict. And yes, we do have great need for compassion, for reason, for love, for dignity. For our words of meditation, reflection, and prayer, I have several quotations of Dr. Anthony Fauci. He has said, "I believe I have a personal responsibility to make a positive impact on society. I think collectively we should be paying more attention to what is going on around us in the world among people who don't have the advantages that we have. Almost all related to the social disadvantageous conditions that some people of color find themselves in from birth regarding availability of an adequate diet, access to health care, and the undeniable effects of racism in our society. Let us promise ourselves that our corporate memory of this tragic reality, that an infectious disease disparately hospitalized and kills people of color, does not fade after we return to some form of normality. Righting this wrong will take a decades-long commitment. I strongly urge you to be part of that commitment. Activism has been very productive in our society. Public service can be incorporated into your lives regardless of your career choice. Give this consideration and make it at least part of your lives. Leadership can be learned from many experiences, and it takes many forms, including the quiet and subtle leadership of example. When you get vaccinated, you not only protect your own health and that of the family, but also you contribute to the community health by preventing the spread of the virus throughout the community. In other words, you become a dead end to the virus. And when there are a lot of dead ends around, the virus is not going to go anywhere. Now let's observe 1 minute of silence. Our reading before the sermon is by Dr. Anthony Fauci. The most pressing ethical question is to make sure that everything you do from a scientific standpoint is done for the ultimate good and positive issue for the people that you're caring about. And it's sermon time. I've been quoting Dr. Anthony Fauci for the service elements this week, both honoring his work and recognizing his good character, dating from the beginning of the AIDS crisis through his leadership in keeping reality centered during this COVID-19 epidemic. Today, my plan has been to give another in the periodic Sunday sermon updates of the coronavirus, where we would consider our liberal religious position, such as encouraging you to trust the science and receive the vaccine. Currently, according to the New York Times, 43% of the total population of the U.S., 54% of adults age 18 and up are fully vaccinated. And in Lucas County, Ohio, the Times says, unvaccinated people are at a high risk of COVID-19 transmission, while vaccinated people are at minimal risk. Vaccinations are now approved for people aged 12 and up. Testing is in progress for approval of age 5 and up, and I read yesterday that the expectation is for age 2 and up soon. That's very good, but we're not quickly enough reaching the 70% that determines social immunity when the disease can still be contracted but doesn't commonly spread through the community. Conditions are improving, but that's still different from the minimal risk to vaccinated people. If you're not yet vaccinated, please get it and help us to defeat the pandemic. I have several more Dr. Fauci quotations I reserved for this sermon, but I recently decided that since we're moving so fast to reopening the city and our church, I want to talk about what's next. So on our way there, let's go through a quote jumble, because I think his words are good, and then I'll talk about reopening. Dr. Fauci has said, I'm a born cautious optimist. Some people feel you can make your case. If they listen to you, fine. If they don't, that's it. That's not what leadership is. Leadership is trying to continue to make a case. And he does continue to make the case. If you look at the vaccine, the level and quality of neutralizing antibodies was comparable to and even better than what you see in the convalescent plasma of people who actually were infected and developed an immune response. It's at least as good as the response associated with natural infection. COVID-19 may be something that becomes endemic that we have to just be careful about. Certainly it's not going to be a pandemic for a lot longer, because I believe the vaccines are going to turn that around. Bioethics is a very, very important field. As we get more and more in the arena of understanding science and getting better opportunities, the fact that you can do things with biological sciences that have an impact on a human being means you must have ethical standards. But Dr. Fauci also says, human nature is weak. Here's part of a Facebook posting from March 2020 by our congregation president, Sandra Kozik-Sills. 1 year and 3 months ago, just after we had what turned out to be our last in-person service in the sanctuary for quite a while. At the Board of Trustees meeting, Thursday evening, 3/12/2020, we decided on the following response to guidance from the state of Ohio, Lucas County Health Department, and the UUA that recommend limiting the size of groups of people. We will postpone the annual auction. We hope to be able to reschedule this important fundraiser within this fiscal year. Additional details will be forthcoming from the auction committee once they have determined their next course of action. We will hold closed services by live stream only for a minimum of 4 weeks, starting immediately, including this Sunday, March 15th. No in-person attendance. Our hardworking and valiant staff will work to modify the service for the new format. A link will be forthcoming. An electronic order of service will be attempted. The board will reevaluate at the April meeting and may extend the period of time that services are closed if necessary. And you know services are still closed. Please be patient as we work on this so that we are able to maintain some continuity and connection. Expect technical glitches and be joyful when it goes smoothly. Small gatherings are not prohibited. Some of you may want to have small get-togethers or watch parties, but please be mindful of precautions. We are still working on what to do about spiritual adventures and RE. Stay tuned on that. In any and all cases, above all, take care of yourselves and each other. Wash your hands. Use hand sanitizer if you can find it. Follow the CDC and health department advice. If you feel sick, contact your healthcare provider and follow their directions. Let the caring circle know if you have needs or concerns. The UUA says it better than I can. The experience of Sunday morning certainly changes, but the core purpose stays the same: connecting with a spiritual community devoted to growing love in this world. We embody that love when we help keep one another physically safe and help the most vulnerable stay free of disease. Let us love our people and this world well. And this is a posting of mine from May 22nd last year. Stores are open again here, and now restaurants are offering dining-in service. When driving today, we passed one place with a sign saying, "Welcome back Toledo." I've seen articles shared on Facebook implying that the precautions taken were overblown. It's as if the pandemic is over, that after 70-some days, things can return to normal. Meanwhile, people are being infected, getting sick, dying. The crisis goes on. The stage is being set for a recurrence, a next wave of severe proportions. The church I minister will stay closed for now. And Jewel and I will continue to limit our trips to stores and other possibilities of public interaction. Stay healthy, friends. Today, June 13th, 2021, we seem actually to be about at that place Toledo tried after 70-some days of the crisis. And it only took about 365 more days than that, a full year later, to get there. The pandemic is not over. Let's be clear about that. But with vaccinations reducing the risk, conditions are good. And if unvaccinated people continue to get the shot or shots, we will approach the immunity level needed to squelch the transmission. Please, if you're not yet vaccinated, set aside your personal reasoning or fears. Trust science and technology at this time and get vaccinated. Dr. Fauci said a year ago, "Science is truth." It's amazing sometimes the denial there is. It's the same thing that gets people who are anti-vaxxers, who don't want people to get vaccinated, even though the data clearly indicate the safety of vaccines. That's really a problem. Please don't be part of the problem. In this congregation, all of the leadership is in favor of the vaccine and is vaccinated. And we see vaccinations as the way for us to have a thriving congregation post-pandemic. I don't see the Toledo Unitarians leaders as enforcers, instituting mandates for general attendance, but some activities, such as choir, because of the greater risk of transmission through airborne activity, might not be for unvaccinated people to take part. We don't want you to get sick by doing what you love, and we don't want you to bring greater risk into a group when vaccinations, while greatly effective, are not 100% guarantees that people won't be ill. Our congregation's COVID-19 task force is meeting tomorrow night to discuss how we might undergo the process of reopening. It's possible that groups, both from our church and the community groups that use our spaces, can soon return and use our facilities however it's comfortable for them. Details will come soon. Check our UUFYI email and our Facebook page for current information. For Sundays, it won't be an instant pivot to in-person activities. Because of our technical adjustments, trying to make a Sunday service that can be a good spiritual time for people in the sanctuary and those tuning in for video, we need more time. So I'm asking that we keep our current schedule of one public outdoor service a month, including this coming Sunday, which is summer solstice and Father's Day, and the rest video only. I'm open to compromise if there's other Sunday use of our building, but our plans aren't changing for the summer transition timing of our Sunday services in the sanctuary. We'll continue to plan to be back indoors, in person, with continuing live video simulcast on our Toledo Unitarians YouTube channel on September 12th, our In-Gathering Sunday, when the topic will be quintessence, the mystical fifth element. I note that the 5 photos we showed during the reading of that more than a year ago Facebook posting are ones I took yesterday. I wanted you to see them one more time for posterity. The title of today's sermon is the question, Vax to Normal? And we can't, as a congregation, return to how we did church at the beginning of March 2020 and expect to thrive and grow just because we're physically back together. I don't want us to return to the same stuff on the walls that was here a year ago, and I don't want a back to normal, but an establishing of our next normal. This is the ranting part of my sermon. Please hear what I'm trying to say. For us to address heart, mind, and soul from the liberal religious perspective we have at First Unitarian Church of Toledo, we need to re-energize our congregation. We've gotten to too much reliance on routine, depending on established leadership and a very small staff to keep us going, perhaps getting a little bit irritated at our continuing calls for increased giving, but favoring that approach without also donating enough of your time and energy to make this a place where new people will want to come, experience, stay, and contribute as future leaders of the Toledo Unitarians. And the money that we do give hasn't kept pace with the financial demands on our organization, which in large part is why we continue to have to ask for increased giving. We have to make this work, or we could quickly fade and die out from lack of involvement. Though the Toledo Unitarians date to 1860, this isn't really an established, secure institution that weathers whatever changes come its way. No, it has always been a local congregation funded by its members for almost all of its time, with the exception of a couple of loans from the national headquarters long years ago. We're not in the position we want to be in as we return from the COVID crisis, now that we can mostly handle life in a pandemic. Our membership committee got down to only one person. We need a solid group backed by all the congregation, which can radically welcome people who come through our doors, make them feel wanted, that they have a place among us, and that they can help us be the church we want to be. That includes active, involved ushers and greeters for Sunday service, and open and inquisitive people for coffee hour. We want to show that there's room in this circle for new people and bring them in rather than making them push their own way into our groups. Can we start with a group to refurbish our rooms and hallways, decorating for a welcome back starting in September, with the old stuff gone from the walls and bulletin boards? And we need to act on the ways that we think we can draw new active members. We're a welcoming congregation, and LGBTQ plus people are not treated differently than our straight and cisgender congregants, which is good. But that comfort isn't enough. We really need not just support, but activities that will attract LGBTQ plus people to be members of our congregation and to want to stay. There and in other social groups, we're seen as allies, supporters of, but not involved in the communities, or as LGBTQ plus people doing the work outside our own congregation and not seeing the need to strengthen our own welcoming. Let's do some programming, social and church-related, for religious liberals who are gay. We think that First Unitarian is a place that can grow through the arts, but we have a very small volunteer pool of people who could help us produce arts here that would bring new people through our doors. Tech theater, operating the equipment we need for Sunday services and for other video and podcasting. Volunteer, and we can train you. When our sanctuary gets renovated, maybe we can stage a play and concerts here. Let's produce the arts, not just like them. We could even buy an espresso machine and start a monthly coffee house. I have an idea for a regular community involvement program, but can't make it happen myself without your involvement. And I'm reluctant to bring in outside sponsors and participants without having good support inside. And we seem always to talk about how we need families for this to be a healthy congregation. But we've not been so family friendly. Once again, I thank Soroya King for her gift to the congregation as our interim religious educator. And I'm sorry to see her needing to give all her energies to other work, and this is her final week on the job for us. But we've reached that seeming death spiral of saying we need families, but families don't come. So why do we support paying for religious education when we don't have many kids here? We don't try well enough to attract and keep families, the kids and the parents. Let's work through this possibly a year of no regular kids' religious education while we're dedicating it to be valuable playtime and hoping the kids form good church friends bonds. But let's dedicate it to reimagining how we can have a healthy, staff-involved religious education program that's known in the larger community for the way we value kids, parents, families. Cultivating membership. Offering the attractions that liberal religious people value. Developing multi-generational involvement. That can strengthen First Unitarian Church of Toledo. Get involved, please. I still make the case. Let's continue being a spiritual community devoted to growing love in this world. And so be it. And now it's time for our offering. Dr. Anthony Fauci has said, there's more than one way to get to the goal that you want to get to, but once you compromise your own principles, then you're lost. You're really lost. It's collection time for the offering, which can be made online or by mailing us your pledge or a donation. Help us to live our principles. We don't want to be really lost. Thank you. And now, coming soon, for next week's Spiritual Adventures Forum at 10 a.m. by Zoom, Elliot Adams will lead The Fathers in Our Lives. And you might come early here and try to participate by Zoom on your cell phone, because we have an 11 a.m. service outdoors again next week, an in-person service. You're cordially invited, and if you would like to bring some food for a picnic after church, we have a lot of space in our yard. So next week, the title is Summer, and please come join us in person outdoors. And immediately after today's service by Zoom is our social hour. We give a special invitation to visitors, and you can find the connection information on our YouTube site. Now it's time for our closing words, also by Anthony Fauci. As soon as I find them here. Science is telling us that we can do phenomenal things if we put our minds and our resources to it. And as we send our flame into the world, one final quotation by Dr. Anthony Fauci. It's not going to be like a light switch, on and off. We go from where we are right now to completely normal. It's going to be a gradual, little by little, you'll be seeing that approach to normal.